Have you ever wondered why some people seem completely at peace when they are alone, while others feel restless and uncomfortable without constant company? It's not because they are antisocial or detached from the world. It's because they have discovered something powerful about themselves that most people overlook. Solitude, for them, is not loneliness. It is strength. It is clarity. It is a hidden key to self-mastery. In a world that constantly tells us we need more friends, more social validation, and more noise to feel alive, choosing to be alone can seem strange, yet it is often a sign of profound inner power. Those who prefer their own company hold a quality that many crave but few ever attain: freedom from the need for constant approval. They understand something deeply human yet rarely spoken about. Happiness cannot be borrowed from others. It must be built from within. When they choose to spend time in solitude, they are not running away from the world. They are running toward their true selves. They have learned that peace does not come from crowds, distractions, or endless conversations. Peace is born in stillness, in the quiet moments where thoughts settle and clarity rises. And in that stillness, extraordinary things begin to happen. Creativity flows, confidence builds, mental strength grows, life starts to make sense. Yet society often misunderstands this. People who love their own company are sometimes labeled as shy, withdrawn, or even arrogant. But what if the truth is the exact opposite? What if the ability to stand alone is not a weakness, but one of the rarest and most powerful strengths a person can possess? What if solitude is not an escape, but a gateway to self-discovery, emotional independence, and an unshakable sense of purpose? This is the reality of those who have mastered the art of being with themselves. They are not avoiding life. They are living it at a deeper level. Imagine this: when you are surrounded by people all the time, you may laugh, talk, and feel connected. But how often do you truly hear your own thoughts? How often do you pause long enough to understand what you really want out of life, beyond the expectations of everyone else? Those who prefer their own company know that the answers to life's biggest questions don't come from outside, they come from within. And only in moments of solitude can those answers be heard. That is why people who embrace time alone are often the ones who make bold decisions, create groundbreaking ideas, and build lives that reflect who they truly are, not who others think they should be. But here's the most surprising truth. Solitude does not just reveal who you are, it transforms who you become. It sharpens your awareness. It strengthens your resilience. It teaches you how to draw energy from your own presence, so you no longer feel empty without someone else there to fill the silence. And when you can stand strong in that silence, you unlock a level of inner power that few ever reach. You stop chasing validation because you already know your worth. You stop fearing judgment because you are no longer defined by the opinions of others. You stop running from yourself because you finally understand that everything you need to thrive has been inside you all along. This is why those who prefer their own company often display qualities that surprise and inspire others: confidence, creativity, clarity, and an incredible sense of purpose. These are not just personality traits, they are signs of deep personal growth. And the best part? You can cultivate them too. You can learn to embrace solitude not as a void, but as a powerful force that shapes who you are meant to be. Because the truth is, when you stop fearing being alone, you start discovering the person you were always meant to become. Stay with this journey, because by the time you reach the end, you will see solitude in a way you never have before. You will uncover 8 surprising qualities of those who embrace their own company, and how those same qualities can awaken extraordinary strength within you. If you've ever felt that quiet pull toward stillness, that inner voice telling you there's more to life than constant noise, then what you are about to discover might just change the way you see yourself and the way you choose to live forever. One of the most profound qualities of those who embrace their own company is emotional independence. This is not about shutting people out or building walls around the heart. It is about no longer needing constant approval to feel secure, loved, or worthy. When someone learns to validate themselves, they stop being controlled by the fear of rejection or the pressure to please everyone around them. They find a deeper sense of freedom, freedom from the chains of external validation, freedom from the endless chase for acceptance, and freedom from the fear of being alone. This kind of independence creates a foundation of unshakable confidence that others can feel without a word being spoken. Emotional independence does not mean a person never seeks connection or comfort from others. Instead, it means their happiness does not crumble when outside support is absent. They know how to find calm within chaos, strength within stillness, and reassurance within their own thoughts. While others may panic in solitude, these individuals find peace. They use it as a time to recharge, reflect, and rebuild. They have mastered the art of turning inward for answers instead of grasping outward for validation, and this mastery radiates a quiet, yet magnetic strength that draws respect and admiration. Research in psychology shows that people who develop emotional independence experience lower levels of anxiety, greater self-control, and higher emotional intelligence. They are better at managing stress because they are not waiting for someone else to rescue them from their struggles. Instead, they face challenges with clarity, relying on their own inner resources to guide their next move. And when success comes, they know it belongs to them, not because someone else approved of their path, but because they believed in themselves enough to take it. This trait also builds resilience. Life will test every person with moments of loss, rejection, and disappointment. But those who have cultivated emotional independence recover faster because their identity is not tied to other people's opinions or presence. They understand that setbacks are temporary, while inner strength is permanent. Instead of asking, "Who will be there for me?" they ask, "How will I rise from this?" That simple shift in perspective turns pain into power and obstacles into stepping stones. Emotional independence also leads to better relationships, not fewer of them. When you no longer rely on others to complete you, you show up differently in your connections. You listen more deeply, love more authentically, and communicate with honesty because fear no longer dictates your actions. You are not afraid of losing people because you have already learned how to stand on your own. And paradoxically, this makes people value you more. Because strength and self-sufficiency are deeply attractive qualities. People are drawn to those who do not cling to them out of fear, but walk beside them out of choice. This quality allows a person to live boldly. When you are no longer shaped by external approval, you start making decisions that align with who you truly are, not who the world expects you to be. You pursue paths that inspire you, take risks others avoid, and create a life that reflects your deepest values. The opinions of others may still reach your ears, but they no longer steer your direction. That power belongs only to you. And when you begin living with that kind of courage, the world opens doors that fear once kept closed. What makes this so inspiring is that emotional independence is not a trait someone is simply born with. It is a skill that anyone can develop. It begins with small steps, learning to sit with your thoughts, learning to comfort yourself in moments of uncertainty, and learning to trust your instincts even when others doubt you. Over time, these small practices grow into an unbreakable habit of self-reliance, and with it comes an inner confidence that no circumstance can shake. There is something profoundly liberating about knowing that your peace, your happiness, and your sense of worth are no longer dependent on external forces. It means that no matter what happens, who stays, who leaves, what changes, you remain whole. You remain grounded. You remain you. And that is a rare kind of strength that sets apart those who embrace solitude from those who fear it. This is why emotional independence is more than just a quality. It is a quiet revolution within the soul. It transforms how you think, how you feel, and how you live. It creates a foundation for the next powerful qualities to build upon, qualities that turn solitude from something uncomfortable into something life-changing. Because once you can stand strong within yourself, every other strength becomes possible. One of the most transformative rewards of embracing your own company is the deep sense of self-awareness that begins to emerge. When distractions are stripped away and outside voices grow silent, something remarkable happens. You finally hear yourself. Not the version of you shaped by expectations, comparisons, or constant noise, but the truest version of who you are at your core. This level of awareness is not merely about knowing your preferences or opinions, it is about understanding your values, your emotions, your strengths, and the subtle signals that guide you toward your purpose. Most people spend their lives moving so fast, surrounded by so many influences that they never pause long enough to ask the most important question, who am I when no one is watching? Yet those who seek solitude often discover this answer, not through a single moment of clarity, but through a gradual unveiling that only quiet reflection can bring. Self-awareness is built in these moments, like light, breaking through a fog, revealing not only who you are, but also what you truly need to thrive. Psychologists often call self-awareness the foundation of emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize and regulate your emotions, as well as to understand how they influence your decisions. Without it, life feels reactive, as though events and people dictate your path. But with it, you regain control. You begin to see why you think the way you do, why certain situations trigger you, and how your past experiences have shaped the choices you make today. This understanding gives you the power to rewrite patterns that no longer serve you and replace them with new ones that lead to growth. Self-awareness also provides a rare clarity about life's direction. Instead of following the crowd or living by society's script, you begin to make choices that align with who you are at your deepest level. You recognize which relationships uplift you and which drain your energy. You see which habits push you forward and which hold you back. You stop saying yes to things that dim your light because you finally know what truly matters to you. And when that awareness solidifies, it becomes a compass that guides you toward a life of authenticity and meaning. There is also a profound sense of calm that comes with knowing yourself deeply. When others criticize or misunderstand you, their words lose power because you already know your own heart. When challenges arise, you no longer spiral into confusion because you trust your ability to handle them with clarity. And when opportunities appear, you recognize which ones align with your purpose because you have learned to differentiate between fleeting desires and long-term fulfillment. This is the silent strength of self-awareness. It gives you the confidence to walk your path without needing permission or reassurance. Another gift of self-awareness is the ability to notice subtle patterns in your thoughts and emotions. You begin to see when fear is disguising itself as caution, when doubt is whispering lies, and when your intuition is quietly urging you forward. Most people miss these signals because they are drowned out by constant external input. But those who prefer their own company know how to listen, not just to what they feel in the moment, but to what those feelings are trying to teach them. Over time, this makes them sharper, wiser, and more grounded in their decisions. It is no coincidence that many of history's most visionary leaders, creators, and thinkers have spoken about the value of solitude. They understood that innovation and growth begin with self-understanding. When you know who you are, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You no longer drift with the current. You set your own direction and sail with purpose. But perhaps the most inspiring part of self-awareness is how it transforms relationships. When you know yourself, you no longer lose your identity in others. You can connect without clinging, give without depleting, and love without losing yourself. You enter relationships from a place of wholeness, not need, which creates deeper, more authentic bonds. People sense this inner steadiness, and it draws them closer, not because you need them to complete you, but because you inspire them to find the same strength within themselves. This level of awareness does not happen overnight. It grows with intention, by choosing moments of quiet over constant distraction, by asking deeper questions, and by daring to look at yourself with honesty and compassion. Yet with every step, it changes how you see the world and how you see yourself within it. Because once you begin to truly know yourself, you will never again feel lost, no matter where life takes you. Creativity thrives in stillness, and those who embrace their own company often unlock a depth of creative thought that few others experience. When the mind is free from the constant noise of external demands, it begins to wander, explore, and connect ideas in ways that seem almost magical. Solitude provides the mental space for inspiration to breathe, for imagination to expand, and for bold, original thoughts to rise to the surface without fear of judgment or interruption. This is where innovation is born, not in the rush of distraction, but in the quiet of focused thought. Neuroscience has long shown that the brain enters a state of heightened creativity when given time to rest and reflect. In solitude, the mind is no longer busy reacting to conversations, notifications, or the opinions of others. Instead, it turns inward, exploring possibilities that remain hidden during the chaos of everyday life. It is in these moments of deep reflection that breakthrough ideas emerge, often in ways that seem effortless. Writers, inventors, artists, and thinkers throughout history have found their greatest insights not in crowds, but in quiet rooms, long walks, or silent contemplation. But creativity is not limited to art or innovation. It extends to problem-solving, emotional growth, and life design. When a person allows themselves time alone, they begin to see solutions that were invisible before. They find new approaches to challenges, new ways of expressing themselves, and new visions for what their future can become. This ability to see beyond the obvious is a powerful advantage in a world where most people simply repeat patterns because they never stop to imagine something different. The connection between solitude and creativity also lies in the absence of judgment. When you are alone, there is no one to criticize your ideas, no one to impose limits on your imagination. You can think boldly, explore unconventional possibilities, and entertain visions that others might dismiss as unrealistic. This freedom nurtures courage, the courage to think differently, to dream bigger, and to act on ideas that align with your deepest instincts. Many people abandon creative impulses because they fear what others might say, but those who embrace solitude learn to trust the voice within, even when it whispers ideas that defy convention. Another reason solitude fuels creativity is the way it deepens focus. Without interruptions, the mind can enter what psychologists call a flow state, a mental zone where concentration sharpens, time seems to slow, and productivity soars. In this state, the brain operates at its highest potential, combining logical thought with intuitive insight to produce work that feels inspired. Whether it's writing a plan for the future, crafting a solution to a challenge, or simply envisioning the next step in life, solitude creates the mental clarity needed to think at this elevated level. There is also a profound emotional connection between creativity and self-expression. When you allow yourself the quiet to listen inwardly, you begin to sense unspoken desires, hidden dreams, and long-forgotten passions that yearn to be expressed. Solitude gives you permission to explore these inner landscapes, to put them into words, actions, or plans that bring them to life. It is not always about creating art. Sometimes it is about creating a better version of yourself, a life that feels authentic, fulfilling, and deeply aligned with who you truly are. What makes this even more powerful is how creativity feeds confidence. When you generate new ideas, solve problems, or discover fresh ways to move forward, you reinforce your belief in your own potential. You begin to trust your instincts more deeply and approach challenges with curiosity rather than fear. And this confidence becomes a driving force that carries over into every other area of life, empowering you to think, feel, and act with purpose. Those who prefer their own company understand that creativity is not a luxury, it is a necessity for growth. It is what allows them to see beyond their current circumstances, to imagine a future that others can't yet see, and to take steps toward it with boldness. They do not wait for permission to think differently, they grant it to themselves. They know that the greatest breakthroughs, whether personal or professional, begin with a single spark of inspiration found in the quiet moments where the mind is free to roam. And here lies one of the greatest secrets of all. Creativity, once awakened, does not stay contained. It spills over into every part of life. How you think, how you act, how you see yourself and the world around you. It fuels innovation, deepens purpose, and shapes a life that feels alive with possibility. And it begins, as so many powerful transformations do, with the simple decision to sit in stillness and listen to the ideas waiting to be heard. With creativity awakened through solitude, another defining quality begins to take root: strong mental boundaries. These individuals understand the power of protecting their inner world from unnecessary noise, negativity, and emotional chaos. They know that the mind is not just a container for thoughts, but a sacred space that shapes every action, decision, and outcome in life. When that space is guarded, clarity thrives. When it is left unprotected, distractions and doubts invade, scattering focus and draining energy. Mental boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about knowing where your energy ends and someone else's begins. Those who prefer their own company have learned that not every problem is theirs to solve, not every opinion deserves their attention, and not every invitation deserves a yes. They have developed the discipline to protect their mental space, not because they are cold or distant, but because they understand that peace of mind is priceless, and it cannot be maintained if constantly handed over to others. Psychologists describe this as maintaining psychological sovereignty, the ability to remain centered even when surrounded by stress, demands, or emotional pressure. People with strong mental boundaries don't allow drama to dictate their mood or fear to control their decisions. They know how to filter what enters their mind, keeping out what weakens them and nurturing what strengthens them. This creates a powerful sense of control over their life because they no longer operate at the mercy of circumstances. This quality also fuels self-respect. When you guard your mental space, you send a powerful message to yourself. I am worthy of peace, clarity, and focus. That message becomes a guiding principle for how you live and how you allow others to treat you. You stop tolerating relationships that drain you. You stop entertaining conversations that diminish your sense of self. And most importantly, you stop sacrificing your mental health to satisfy the expectations of those who do not carry your burdens. Instead, you choose to value your own well-being, knowing that a strong mind is the foundation for everything else you hope to build. One of the most powerful aspects of mental boundaries is how they create room for emotional stability. When life throws challenges your way, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the chaos around you. But those with strong boundaries know how to pause, step back, and evaluate situations without letting panic or negativity cloud their judgment. They do not internalize every criticism, nor do they crumble under every obstacle. Instead, they ask empowering questions. What is within my control? What is not? What can I do to move forward with strength? This shift in focus keeps them grounded, even when life feels uncertain. Another gift of strong mental boundaries is the ability to protect focus and energy for what truly matters. Distractions are everywhere. Social media, endless notifications, the constant pull of other people's priorities, but those who master solitude know how to say no without guilt. They understand that time and attention are their most valuable assets, and they choose to invest them in what aligns with their goals and values. This makes their actions more deliberate, their choices more strategic, and their lives more aligned with their true vision. This level of discipline also influences the way others see them. People naturally respect those who respect themselves. When someone carries themselves with a quiet strength, refusing to be pulled into unnecessary conflict or chaos, it commands attention. It shows that they have a clear sense of who they are and what they stand for, a trait that inspires others to reflect on their own boundaries and values. But perhaps the most empowering part of this quality is the freedom it creates. When your mind is not constantly weighed down by noise and negativity, you feel lighter, clearer, and more capable of pursuing the life you truly want. Decisions feel less overwhelming. Relationships feel more intentional. Challenges feel less like threats and more like opportunities to grow. And all of this begins with the courage to say, I will not let the world decide my peace for me. I will protect it myself. Strong mental boundaries are not walls that isolate, they are gates that preserve. They allow what is good to enter, wisdom, inspiration, love, while keeping out what would drain, distract, or diminish. They are the quiet armor of those who have learned that inner strength begins with inner protection. And when this foundation is built, the mind becomes not just a place to think, but a fortress where confidence, clarity, and courage are cultivated every single day. Confidence in silence is another remarkable quality of those who embrace their own company. While the world teaches people to prove their worth through constant action, endless words, and external displays of success, these individuals have learned the opposite truth. Real confidence requires no performance. It does not need to be announced or broadcasted. It lives quietly within, radiating through presence, posture, and calm assurance. Silence, for them, is not emptiness. It is a statement, a quiet declaration that says, I know who I am and I do not need to explain it to anyone. This level of confidence is rare because most people draw their sense of worth from how others perceive them. They measure their value by applause, approval, or recognition. But those who prefer solitude have learned to measure it differently, by alignment with their own values, by the integrity of their choices, and by the strength of their inner world. They do not chase validation because they already know what they stand for. And when you know who you are, you do not need to shout it. You simply live it. Silence also reflects emotional control. It shows that a person does not need to fill every moment with noise to feel secure. They can pause, think, and allow others to speak without feeling the urge to dominate the conversation. This ability creates an aura of strength because it signals self-assurance. People instinctively trust those who do not scramble to prove themselves. They sense calm authority in someone who can listen deeply, speak sparingly, and act decisively. Psychologically, confidence in silence is deeply linked to self-trust. When you trust your thoughts, decisions, and instincts, you don't need constant affirmation from others. You know your worth without explanation. You know your path without approval. And you know your vision even when others can't yet see it. This kind of inner trust creates a magnetic quality. People are drawn to those who carry themselves with quiet certainty because it reflects strength they aspire to develop themselves. Another aspect of confidence in silence is the ability to handle criticism without crumbling. When someone has anchored their sense of self internally, negative opinions lose their sting. They may listen, reflect, and even learn from feedback, but they do not allow it to define them. They know that someone else's perspective does not alter their truth. This creates an incredible level of resilience, one that allows them to move forward with grace even when misunderstood or judged. This quiet confidence also transforms how a person pursues their goals. Instead of loudly declaring their plans or seeking applause for every step, they focus on the work itself. They know that progress speaks louder than words. They understand that true power is shown in results, not noise. And so, they move with purpose, calm, steady, and unwavering, building their future piece by piece without the need for constant validation. There is a subtle strength in being underestimated as well. People who carry their confidence quietly are often overlooked by those who mistake silence for weakness. But when the time comes to act, they reveal a level of courage and competence that surprises everyone. They don't waste energy trying to prove themselves before it's necessary. They conserve it, channeling it into action that speaks for itself when the moment matters most. This quality also fosters deeper connections with others. People feel at ease around someone who doesn't try to dominate conversations or constantly seek attention. They feel heard, valued, and respected because the confident person in silence knows how to hold space for others. This creates trust, loyalty, and admiration, not because of what is said, but because of what is not. Perhaps the most empowering truth about confidence in silence is that it cannot be faked. It grows only when a person has done the inner work, cultivating emotional independence, self-awareness, and mental strength. It is the natural result of knowing oneself deeply and trusting that knowledge enough to move through life without fear. And once developed, it becomes a shield against doubt and a beacon of strength for others to follow. In a world obsessed with noise, the ability to stand confidently in silence is revolutionary. It signals a level of inner peace and self-belief that no external force can shake. It is the quiet strength of someone who has nothing to prove because they already know their worth. And when you reach that level of confidence, you don't just walk through life differently. You lead yourself to places noise could never take you. The fire of inner growth is often tested in moments of stillness, where the absence of noise reveals the truth about who you are becoming. It is here that strength is not measured by how loudly you move, but by how deeply you stand rooted in your values. The world around you may pull at your attention, tempt you with distractions, or provoke you with chaos, but your power lies in maintaining control over your mind, your emotions, and your energy. Every time you choose to rise above a reaction, you reclaim authority over your life. Every time you resist the urge to explain yourself to those who misunderstand you, you affirm your own worth without needing validation. True strength is not in proving who you are. It is in knowing who you are so firmly that no one's perception can shake it. When you learn to carry this kind of presence, life begins to align in ways you could not imagine. Opportunities flow not to those who chase, but to those who embody calm certainty. People respect what they sense is unshakable. This is why composure is magnetic. It draws others in, not because of force, but because of the quiet confidence it exudes. The deeper you go into mastering this state, the more you realize that the external world bends to the one who has conquered the internal. You stop fighting battles that do not matter, stop explaining your every choice, stop allowing others to dictate how you should feel. You stand, you move with intention, and life begins to meet you at that level of strength. But this path is not for the faint of heart. It requires discipline to silence the noise within when everything outside demands your attention. Discipline to delay emotional reactions when provoked. Discipline to keep building yourself when no one else notices the effort. Yet it is this very discipline that separates those who drift aimlessly from those who rise with purpose. And every moment you choose discipline over impulse, you strengthen the foundation of the person you are becoming. The reward is not simply external success. It is the unshakable inner peace of knowing that you are no longer controlled by chaos but guided by clarity. In this state, your energy becomes precious, not to be wasted on battles that lead nowhere. You begin to see that not every opinion deserves a response, not every invitation deserves acceptance, and not every conflict deserves your presence. You guard your mind like a fortress and your heart like a treasure, because you understand that everything in your life flows from the state of your inner world. When it is calm, you navigate storms with precision. When it is restless, even small waves feel like hurricanes. This is why building internal strength is the highest form of preparation. It turns challenges into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. As you continue walking this path, you start to notice subtle yet profound shifts in how life responds to you. People who once drained you no longer have access to your peace. Circumstances that once overwhelmed you now feel like manageable puzzles rather than crises. And most importantly, you begin to feel a deeper connection to yourself. A quiet, steady assurance that no matter what happens externally, you will not break. You may bend, you may pause, but you will not collapse, because the core of who you are has been forged in resilience. This is where transformation becomes visible, not in loud declarations, but in subtle strength, in the calm way you hold yourself, in the way you no longer explain your worth, and in the way you allow life to meet you where you stand. The journey of inner mastery is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to the truest version of yourself, the one who is unshaken by chaos, untethered by fear, and unafraid to stand alone if necessary. Because in standing alone, you often find that you are never truly alone. You are deeply aligned with the strength that has always been within you. Strength is born when you decide to rise above the limitations others have placed upon you and the doubts you once believed about yourself. Every day you wake up, you are faced with two choices: to live passively, letting circumstances dictate your path, or to stand with unwavering conviction and command life to meet you at the level of your determination. This is not about arrogance, nor about forcing reality to bend to your will through mere wishes. It is about stepping into a mental state where self-belief becomes a law, not a hope, and discipline becomes a ritual, not a burden. The world responds differently to a person who carries unshakable certainty. Doors open, opportunities gravitate toward them, and people sense their presence without a single word spoken. It is not magic. It is mastery over one's energy and attitude, and it begins in the silence of your own mind. When you silence doubt, you amplify possibility. Doubt thrives where self-awareness is weak, feeding on hesitation and fear. But the moment you declare that hesitation is no longer an option, life begins to shift. This is the point where courage is forged, not in the absence of fear, but in the relentless decision to keep moving despite it. Courage is not loud, it is often quiet, steady, and unyielding. It is the small voice inside that whispers, "Keep going," when everything else tells you to quit. It is choosing to see every challenge as a doorway to growth rather than a wall of defeat. People often wait for the perfect moment to act, but the truth is, the perfect moment is created by action itself. Waiting breeds regret. Movement builds momentum. And momentum, once built, becomes unstoppable. Your energy is your silent currency, exchanged in every interaction, every choice, and every intention you put into the world. Negative energy repels progress. Empowered energy attracts it. When you carry yourself with an aura of inner strength, others feel it instinctively. They sense your boundaries without needing them explained. They notice your standards without you ever announcing them. And this silent language tells the world exactly how to treat you. Weakness invites chaos. Strength demands respect. But here lies the secret. True strength does not shout, it radiates. It is not in proving your worth to others. It is in living it so clearly that no one dares to question it. The key is alignment. Aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the life you claim to desire. You cannot say you seek abundance and then indulge in scarcity thinking. You cannot speak of confidence while dwelling on comparisons and insecurity. You cannot declare self-worth yet entertain relationships, environments, and habits that strip it away. Life mirrors what you embody, not what you wish for. And embodiment is not passive. It requires choice after choice, day after day, until it becomes identity. The person who embodies excellence stops negotiating with mediocrity. They do not explain their standards because they live by them. They do not chase validation because their presence alone is proof of their value. This journey is not about perfection. It is about evolution. It is about recognizing that every challenge you face is not punishment, but preparation. Each obstacle sculpting you, each setback sharpening you, each disappointment teaching you. When viewed through this lens, Pain becomes a tool rather than a prison. It no longer weakens you, it refines you. It burns away what is false so that what is real can remain. And what remains is strength, clarity, and resilience, qualities that separate those who merely survive from those who thrive. The moment you decide to live with this level of intention, everything changes. Conversations feel different, environments feel different, even your own reflection feels different. You see the quiet confidence in your eyes, the poise in your posture, the calm in your presence. This is not the result of luck or chance. It is the result of self-command. And with self-command comes freedom. Not the freedom of circumstance, but the freedom of knowing that no matter what happens, you will not fold. You will not shrink. You will not settle. You will rise, because rising has become who you are.